Buenas tardes, mi nombre es María Angélica y yo estoy ofreciendo interpretación en español con Mark Language Services. Si ustedes quisieran recibir esta información en español, pueden venir a la mesa de interpretación que está al lado de la registración para recibir un aparatito con un auricular por el cual pueden escuchar toda la información en español. Bueno, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Maria Angelica, and I'm with Mark Language Services offering interpretation services tonight. If somebody around you would like to listen to the information that's going to be given today in Spanish or in Creole, please let them know that they can go to the interpretation table, which is next to the registration table, and they will be able to listen to all of the information that's going to be given today into Spanish or Creole. Okay? Thank you.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening. Nan parle le camp et on fait interprétation pour nous dans la langue créole là. C'est à un monde là qui a un problème de difficulté pour participer dans la conférence à cause du langage là. Les moins là pour moi assister pour participer comme soit là que ça doit et que ça peut faire passer les partout. Donc sous ta remettant des conférences là en créole, s'il te plaît, passez dehors, ou est-ce que tu as un enregistrement, n'a pas un petit instrument pour mettre dans les oreilles pour capable entendre l'interprétation ça en créole ou bien participer tout en créole journalier. Merci. Thank you.
Can someone please tell them to be quiet? So when the speakers come up, they'll get a little bit of respect. Alright, so I'm just gonna do some housekeeping really quickly. Alright? First and foremost, I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. I would ask you to take your phones and cut the volume down or turn them off. The restrooms, just in case you don't know, when you go out, and to your left, there's a male and a female restroom. There's also another restroom when you go out of the patio area and you go to the right. There's a Snapchat. If you have Snapchat, there's a Snapchat filter for you guys to use. Please use them. All right, back to like the active listening part. Now, I kind of want to take a moment to experiment on it a bit because like we've all done it, but when things get real, like you gotta kind of get real too, right? So we're gonna be here today, and we're gonna hear from some people that are gonna be telling you some very sensitive stuff, some stuff that we hope to push forward into the things that we're gonna take out of the room, right? I'm talking about like through our actions. And active listening, according to Webster, is a technique that's used in counseling, training, and solving disputes or conflicts. And we could talk all day about that, right? But it requires for us to listen fully to concentrate. It requires for us to listen to understand. It requires for us to respond, and then remember what's being said, right? So that's gonna be kind of tough because you're gonna hear some stuff that's full. I just kind of want you guys to take it all in, even if you've never been through it, if you haven't ever been through it before, like just take it all in. The women that are gonna come up here and use their words tonight, the women that are gonna come up here on these panels, the women that we speak for that are not here right now, right? Like all of them deserve our respects if we don't just like chill in the information. We're gonna relax into the idea of freedom, right? Because that's what we are, freedom. And so yeah, please just be respectful. Keep the size out to a minimum. If you want to talk, just write down some notes or something. There are no women around the room with shirts on that like mine. If you see one of them later on, they're going to give you an opportunity to ask questions, and when they give you an opportunity, you're going to give some cards, so you can write your question down, and they're going to give them an opportunity, the panelists, an opportunity to answer your questions towards the end. Aside from that, man, hashtags, dignity, FL, hashtags, reform her, okay? I want y'all to get everything you're supposed to get, so I'm gonna walk away. All right, first I'm gonna introduce Linda. Is Linda present? Of course she is, right? So this is Linda Gelati. Linda is the she's the co-membership director of Florida Now, Presidents of Scholars of Florida Now, the vice president of Miami Now, and president for Student Alliance and Fighting Exploitation at Florida. Y'all see me realize that this was like real Christmas. Exploitation at Florida International University. As a survivor leader, Linda has created sexual assault and bystander prevention events at Florida International University that are very unique and insightful, and I'm sure she's going to tell us a bit about it. You guys, give a hand.
Thank you. All right, my name is Linda Gelati. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. My name is Linda Gelati, President of Student Alliance Fighting Exploitation. And as a survivor leader, I do know that oftentimes it is the history of sexual abuse, sexual assault, sexual exploitation, domestic violence, and unfortunate circumstances, which oftentimes will exhibit or make a person exhibit behaviors that will lead them into the prison system. So because of this, we need reform. We need reform in order to rehabilitate the women and the girls of our most marginalized communities. I hope that through this event, your heart is touched and it moves you to action. The student organizations of FIU, including the Student Alliance Fighting Exploitation, Panthers for Recovery, Social Work, Student Association, Phi Alpha Honor Society, Society of Women Engineers, and Gay Straight Alliance are all very proud to be able to participate in the raising of the voices of the men, women, and girls of our most marginalized communities. Without further ado, I will grant this space to the beautiful voices of the leaders of formerly incarcerated women that are with you here today. Thank you.
All right, so the first panel that's going to be coming up, they're going to be talking about the ripple effect. Okay, so with the ripple effect, we're talking about how families and loved ones are affected by mass incarceration. I don't know if you guys know this, but like 1 out of every 12 children, and that's like more than 5.7 million, right, under the age of 18, have experienced parental incarceration at some point. This is just one of the stats from one of the sets of research. But we're going to get some real-time information for people that are actually experiencing this stuff and that have actually experienced this stuff. And we're going to give you an opportunity to do what you will with the information. Okay? serving 30 years in federal prison. She's been fighting for 19 years for her mother's freedom. Jackie is a serial entrepreneur and is a founding member of the Dignity Florida Coalition. Y'all give Jackie another round.
How you doing this evening? Tonight, I'm gonna call up 3 women who are impacted by incarceration, either they were incarcerated or their family members that have a story to share. So the first person that I would like to call is Liz Keonis. She is from California. She lives in Broward County now. Her father is serving a life sentence. Lennox, she served 8 years, but after her incarceration, she was fortunate enough to find the Dragonfly Boutique. The purpose of it is to hire formerly incarcerated women to give them a chance to step up in a society that will not or has some type of stigma because you have a record. So my first panelist is Lynn Keonis.
So, Linus is not here this evening. She's parking her car. Well, she's not here right now. Thanks, Trey.
We have more people impacted than not. So my second beautiful young lady is Janina Taylor. Her mother is serving 30 years. Miss Janina is fighting to get her mom home. She is the daughter of Gloria Taylor, who is serving a life sentence for a non-violent drug offense. What you don't understand is most women who are incarcerated because of drugs, non-violent, fictitious evidence, imaginary evidence, it affects their children. So please welcome Ms. Janina Taylor. And our next person is Stephanie Abergat. She is the niece of Trey Johns, who is one of our founders, and one of the speed around green truck. What do you want? All right. Stephanie was raised by Trey. So Stephanie and her siblings were in the custody of Trey Johns. I'm sorry. Her auntie was raising her. So once Trey was incarcerated, Stephanie and her siblings no longer had that in-house love and support. So Stephanie is here to tell her story and share with you how she was impacted by incarceration. So please all right, my ladies. The first person I'd like to speak with is Ms. Janina. Ms. Janina, tell us a little bit about your experience and why you're here today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. I'm Janina Taylor, the daughter of Gloria Taylor. I'd like to make a correction. My mom is not serving 30 years. She has been in prison 30 years.
I apologize.
It's okay. Serving a life sentence for trafficking cocaine. My experience has been a roller coaster. I like to bring the fact that my mom is serving time in prison, but I'm also serving time too. The difference is the law. And I cried. It's very emotional. I see my friends with their moms. And I just be wishing I can experience the feeling that a child has when they're with their mom. And my fight is, time is up. No one deserves to spend the rest of their lives in prison for such a small crime. My other fight is prison reform, criminal justice reform. I want to bring the point that prison reform has benefited a lot of people. Yes, we know that. It's benefited so many people. So many people are being reconnected with their families, their loved ones, their children, their parents, etc. But it would not benefit Gloria Taylor, because Gloria Taylor is in a state prison. All of the laws that they're passing for criminal justice reform are only beneficial to those that are serving federal time. And I'm going to be the voice for those women that are in the state prison. Because everybody should be able to benefit from that situation. Everybody, not just federal inmates. And it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart. Like, you just don't know. I've sent Obama 1,000 tweets when he was in the White House, when he was letting everybody go, because I didn't know any other way to reach out. So I did what I knew how to do. And it hurt. So we got to think about those women and men that are in the state system. Imagine how they feel. They hear 6,000, 7,000 inmates got released, but none of those people made that list. But we got to get Gloria Taylor on that list. That's right. We got to get Ron DeSantis involved. My mom has been filing for appeals. They get denied. I just don't understand why she's so valuable to a prison when she's more valuable out here with me and my siblings and her grandkids, and it's just a lot. I don't want to take up all the time because I could go all night.
I feel your pain and I share your
But my mom needs to come home. Y'all just don't know. I think crazy sometimes. I say, I wonder if I could just get on the highway and walk naked. Would the people listen? I've been through a lot.
All right, Ms. Stephanie, we would like to hear your story. We would like to know what the system did and how did it impact you.
Well, hello all, my name is Stephanie. I'm Trey John's niece / daughter / baby, whatever you want to call me for today. And for the majority of my life, I've always stayed with my aunt. I was with my aunt when she was down in Southern Illinois. I stayed with my aunt when she was in Virginia, and my mom and my siblings always followed us. I don't know why. That was my mom, but my mother birthed me. And growing up, watching her, she's always been a strong woman. I've never had that positive black role model as a black woman to show me like I can get it on my own. This woman went to the military, she got her education. She was just my black girl magic before black girl magic was invented. And once my aunt got into the system, she got into trouble selling drugs to provide for her family. And not also just to provide for her family, but to better her future as she was going through school. And when that whole situation happened and my aunt got arrested trying to provide and make a better life for her family, that traumatized me to the core. I was scared of pursuing a better future for myself because if my back was against the wall, what would I do? Seeing that growing up in poor communities, the only thing we know how to do besides get money, besides working a job, is to go sell drugs because that's the quickest way to make money because we never have those role models in place to show us, hey, you can do this. If you got this talent, you can make money off of this. So once my aunt got arrested and they gave her 13 years, I was like, I'm not going to school, I don't want to go to college, I can't afford it, these people want $20,000, I can't afford that. It scared me, and I was brilliant. I got accepted to a lot of schools, but when I asked for money and they wasn't giving me enough money, I just said, no, I'm okay, I'm just not going to go to school. And now that I realize, I sit back and I talk about the situation, I realized that it traumatized me more than I actually thought it did because it hindered my life because there's more than one way to just make money and there's better ways to make money than in the streets and faster ways to make money than street money. It really hindered me and me growing and taking my first steps into motherhood as I'm about to be a mother. I have to learn better ways for my child, for my people. Just really situations like this and such a harsh crime for the punishment, the crime didn't fit the punishment. That scared me to even want to do anything to try to better myself. Like maybe I should just work a job and just stay afloat because if you get in a tough situation and you have to find a different way to make money, this is how hard they hit you. My auntie wouldn't even hurt a fly in the street. but they gave her 13 years. Took 13 years, and not only did it affect me, but she has a son as well, and me being separated from my brother slash cousin because we've been together his whole life just traumatized us because that also strained our relationship. He grew with his father, and I had to go back to Chicago with my parents, so I lost relationships not only with my aunt and lost my future, but I also lost it with my family because it stripped us and moved us apart.
I have a question, and my question is for you both. Before anyone you love became incarcerated, what was the attitude that you had about incarceration before you understood the depths of incarceration?
Well, I was too young to have an attitude about it
Okay.
because I didn't understand it. Jail was jail.
Okay.
So I have an attitude about it now.
What about you, Stephanie?
My attitude, because people before then that I knew about going to jail was normally because they killed somebody or they robbed someone. I never thought you putting yourself in a bad situation to make a better situation would affect your life so drastically. I never knew that one small mistake could change your life, like drastically. Seeing how many women get affected by drug charges, nonviolent charges, and they get more years than people that have killed people. Like some people walk away scot-free and they've killed somebody, but I'm selling 10 grams of cocaine and I'm losing my life for the rest of my life, and I'm losing my family. It's just, I never thought that the justice system would be so unjust for something so small.
I would like to thank my ladies. In order to share how much they've lost, we could talk all night. On this stage, her mom, 30 years, Trey, 13. Originally, my mother was sentenced to 100 years. And all these women were non-violent first-time offenders. So something is broken in our system that needs to be fixed. Something's not clicking with the people who are in power. We have so many individuals that make one mistake can take your whole life away and cause your kids to not want to enjoy the life that you birthed them to have. There's a guilt connected with being the child of an inmate. We do things, but there's no 100% joy because there's a guilt because the person we love and should be sharing it with is not. So on that note, can I take a question from the audience? All right.
We will be taking questions, but we're gonna do it a little differently. I'll ask the question. If you have a question, you raise your hand, and then you tell me the question, and I'll repeat it. Okay? Anybody?
You can also tweet at Youth Towards Majority on Twitter for your questions, and we can get your questions on Twitter also.
The question is,
NIG
how do you recover and deal with the pain? How do you continue to move on, and what inspires you?
How I deal with it, well, you can't really deal with the pain if it's still current. You only heal from pain when it stops hurting. So I just keep moving. I learned how to be proactive in my mom's life when I became a mother. I'll be honest with you guys, I wasn't always fighting for my mom. I wasn't always screaming free flow. I wasn't always spending money. I wasn't always going to visits because nobody taught me how to be loyal to my mom. That's one thing I would like to also add, if I'm not adding too much. When you go to prison, you have to be careful who's raising your kids. Because if they don't have your kid, if they're not proactive with your kids, meaning bringing them to see you, teaching them how to write letters and things of that nature, you lose that connection. And then the child becomes very angry with the parent. You know, it's crazy. But you never heal from, it's nothing that you're healing from right now because it's still going on.
Yeah, like you said, there is no healing. You can't be healed from the situation because it's gonna be an always ongoing situation in your life. It's gonna always affect you. It's gonna always come back. It's about the growth that you can get out of it. And with me being so young, they took my aunt away when I was about 8 years old, and it was still so hard for me to understand. I had to, like you said, the people that raise you really affect and can change the perspective of the person that you lost to incarceration. And I had to just dig inside of myself to realize that's not who my aunt was. My aunt was not that bad person that everybody tried to paint her out to be. She's a beautiful person and she's taught me so much. I had to learn at a young age how to send the little emails. I would email my aunt, she would send me little purses and things like that. I had to learn to keep the communication on my own because everyone always tried to paint the picture as her being a bad person, but you all know her as a beautiful person. And part of me that grew is, honestly, once I came around women like you, and I started hearing you all's story and seeing that I'm not alone in situations like this, and that you all have children that's been affected by this. And the first time I expressed this was when I went up to Tallahassee for the first time with Dignity, and I opened up about the situation, about the traumatization of me not going to college because I saw my aunt get dragged to a courtroom just days after her college graduation, and how it just deterred me from ever wanting to go to school because I never wanted to have to put myself in a situation like that. And like I said, it's all about growing. It's about trying to find the perfect soil to plant your seed and water that seed and grow your seed. Because now I'm about to be a mom and I cannot let things like that hold me back from growing and protecting.
We had a question, how do you feel for Mina, how do you feel people in Florida that have no connection to the criminal justice system, just like ordinary people here that may not be impacted, how can they advocate for your mom? How do you think that normal people can be impactful here in Florida?
Change.org. I have a petition on change.org. I just created a petition. I just felt like the more people that sign it, leave a message, advocate, free glow, hashtag free glow.
I want to add with that. What steps did you take to start advocating for your mom when you said, look, ain't nobody else gonna do it, I'm gonna have to do this myself?
Okay, I tried it before and it didn't do anything. I created a petition and I barely got 20 signatures. And when Meek Mill went to jail recently, like the big Meek Mill, free Meek Mill situation occurred, I took advantage of that because I was looking at him like, okay, you got this big celebrity with this platform that never went to prison, but the whole world is saying free Meek Mills, but he never went to prison. So I would go on Instagram and I would be the biased one against the situation. And I'd be like, no, free Glow. Glow been in prison 30 years. My mama never got another chance to mess up. You messed up. What we freeing you for? And that's how I got recognition. I redid the petition, and let's just say within 30 days, I had thousands of signatures. And that's what fueled me. It pumped me to keep going. Listen, I mentioned everybody, but I reached out to Topeka Sams. And that's how it all began. Then she introduced me to Valencia Gonda. And that's how I got on the stage. And there's so much more that is going on. And I already know the doors are going to open soon. And I like to just say, piggyback off of what she said, no
mom. No one ever, anytime I run into somebody, oh my God, glow this, glow that, oh, she need to come home. There's so much love for my mom. So when I made the comment about be careful who raise your kids, it wasn't because someone talked bad about my mom. It's just, you have a lot of people that try to shield you away from the situation, which is not good. Because you have to let these, you have to let children have that bond with their mom no matter what is going on. So I just wanted to clarify that no one is talking bad about Gloria Taylor. Free glow. Free glow.
Hold on, I don't want y'all to lose it, right? So I'm gonna get it. I want y'all to understand that I did almost 10 years in prison, right? Right? My grandmother went to prison first, 35 years ago, for being married to a dope dealer, and he ended up getting shot and killed in a drug deal gone bad. And she ended up having to take his charges because he was dead. Right? My dad went to prison very shortly after that. He went to federal and state prison. The last sentence that he had was 16 years and 9 months. My stepdad then went to prison for 14 years and 6 months. Me, I go to college with all my trauma from being in a home with my mom, who was so damn depressed that she couldn't even think straight. Because she thought she was bad luck to any man that came to her. Right? And I'm just talking about the trauma that comes with it. I was so mad at my dad. I felt like, it's your fault you're gone, and now you want, I still remember when I graduated from high school, he called me to tell me congratulations. I threw the phone to my mom, like, I don't want to talk to him. Like, it's his fault, he's not here. You know what I'm saying? Like, same thing that you were saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if people understand, right? Or if they do understand and they just don't give a damn, right? This shit hard, man. It's hard. 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 And if you've never experienced it, do some research. And find out what people are going through and find out how you can be a hand in your communities, man. Do some research. Because if they locked up, we are too. Watch how stuff goes full circle. My first time going to prison, I was at Clark Atlanta University, right? First person to ever go to college in my family. I came home on vacation, got some gun charges. First time ever being in trouble. I ain't have no juvenile priors, no nothing. Partial scholarship, basketball, academic, all of that. They sent me straight to prison. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. As soon as I get to prison, my first bunkie was her mama. I just met her for the first time today. My first bunkie was her mama. And at the time, her mama had did like 20 years or something like that, and I was like, oh. These people put me in the door with the life was I was 19 years old. And I'm in here with all of these people with all of this time, and I'm like, my God. It's like a warehouse. I'm saying all of this to say that, man, your mama, she coming home. Glow strong, man. She's strong. And they scared to mess with her. That's big mama. She's coming home. That's it. We're about to get into the next panel, okay? Or are we not? Am I wrong? It's okay. Tell me I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. Okay, so Renita is coming up, and she's going to tell you a little bit about
Well, my hug's on the way out and on the way in. I'll get my hug later. I want to thank you all for being here. I'm Madam Renita Biggie Mama Holmes. I'm a proud member of the Dignity Steering Committee and a volunteer. Yeah, I'm here at Dignity Steering Committee, which is made up of over 30 women, and you too can be a steerer and a stirrer as well. You know, you're a member because you're a woman. You're a member because you support a woman. And you're a member because you got a mama. Now, anybody else that wants has to quit. You're a member. And with that, I have the honor as the Executive Director of Wave of Women in Public Housing Education, Finance, and Development, as well as the Mama Project, which is a court watch program for over 37 years in Miami-Dade County. But most significantly for me is that I'm an African-American inner-city woman that's formerly incarcerated. Not all of us are formerly incarcerated. I ain't telling you to look down, but some of us here may have some beepers on our legs. How do you live with that? How do you live through such an experience? Well, all of us already know what the resilience is, and all of us know what it is to be in a room full of women of domestic violence, trauma, sexual assault. Try it being a girl. And so this woman's story, I've risen from that point to this point. I remember my first time being incarcerated. I was young. I'm 58 years old now. I told the truth. And still I face each and every day because of the lack of respect for women, because of the lack of respect for girls to tell the story. And nobody can tell the story. So I'll tell this last thing to introduce this woman because it sums it up. Madam Mary Alice Johnson is not just any other incarcerated woman. She's a baby mama too. She's moved from the test to the triumph. If you read the first page of her book, it tells you in these words about doing it the godly way, persevering, linking her social activism to her spiritual faith. All the answers one day at a time that you accumulate as a woman that's got her hands tied away from her children. So when I was incarcerated, there was a group of women that we call the Lakitas. And if you Google it, you should. It's a tribe of women that basically are tattooed, and we're a gang of ministers. And it can't nobody be a gang like a gang of mamas. I mean, look around, you've got some of those mama figures. But in jail, it's a family unit. In jail, even if there are women, we have Auntie Trey, Uncle Trey, Auntie Renita, Uncle Renita. We just play the roles because we're nurturers, naturally. And we're not going to desecrate anybody's body to penetrate anybody. And as ministers, we penetrate the soul and mind. And when I read this book by Mary Alice Johnson, now, I'll tell you, you're supposed to get out of trouble when you're in uniform, but as New Florida Majority, a Trey introduced me and allowed me the opportunity to meet her, and I read this great book, and I held and I heard her story the other day in a great brunch, and the rest of the activities that we haven't had time to really tell you about, but you should know you're following, was that she was released through clemency. Not from the Obama administration, but the Trump administration. And I tell you, any woman in any jail is under everybody's administration. And to come to this point, to tell you how successful you are, to tell your story, whether it was God-given or administrator-given, it's a given. And this lady is a given. It's an honor to introduce a mother, an auntie, a sister, a friend, a companion, an emu, a partner, and a gangster-ass chick. That's been behind the bars, can hum a few bars, and most certainly has written a few bars. Ladies and gentlemen, give a standing ovation and a warm welcome to a woman that tells the story of many women who have no voice, Minister Mary Alice Johnson. Big girl. A warm welcome. Okay, now I'm going to say this last. Women, we have a tendency to be so resilient and not listen to each other. We take our stories lightly. This is a story one step at a time, one boot at a time, one pain at a time. Listen carefully for the over 2,000 something girls that are incarcerated right now that don't have a voice. I'll survive, okay? Now, thank you. Thank you so much. It's hard for me to stand behind a podium, even though
though I know that one's louder, but I've got a pretty big mouth. I think someone gave a secret away to the madam right here, because my family calls me Marie. My name is actually Alice Marie Johnson, but my entire family calls me Marie. Even on my birth certificate, it forgot to put Alice on there. So someone told this lady a secret about me. Thank you, first of all, Florida, for embracing my story and inviting me to come here today to speak. Thank you. I came to join my sister women warriors who are in the trenches, who are on the ground fighting to make sure that the voices of the women are included in the narrative about criminal justice reform, incarceration reform, jail reform, anything that has to do with her. You see, I'm a her too. I may not have your story. You may not have my story, but each of us have a story. I've been blessed to have a national platform. So what better place for me to be here with my sisters who have not been blessed with the same platform that I've been given. Because when I speak, the nation listens. Because my situation is one that you can only call miraculous. Because, as Madam said, I was not granted clemency under the former administration. I'm not angry about it either. It was not for me to be granted clemency under the previous administration. You see, some people say that I was denied clemency. I wasn't denied clemency. My clemency was not delayed, but I was destined for such a time as this, so that I could be an example of the reason that you can't be concerned about who is in office. You've got to think about the people who are in prison and who are dependent upon you to represent them, to lift up their names, to lift up their situation, to lift up this cause. As David said when he went out to fight Goliath, is there not a cause? Is there not a cause? Is there not a cause for us to be concerned about reform her? Thank you, New Florida majority, for being concerned about that cause and for helping us lift up the voices of those who have been incarcerated. For those of you who don't know my story, I'd like to share a little bit about it. I was born in a very small town in Mississippi during Jim Crow, 1955. I'm the daughter of sharecroppers who had a faith that could not be contained and who imparted that same faith to me, so that one day when I would find myself in a situation where I was told not to hope, where I was told that the only way that I'd ever leave federal prison to rejoin my family would be as a corpse. You see, my family was told that they could not rise above their situation. But I had parents who lived out the example of how you are to conduct yourself when you're in a situation of being the oppressed. I learned some very important lessons. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like the one that I found myself in. I was a young bride, a teenage mother. Me and my husband, ex-husband, were the parents of 5 beautiful children. I lived what was called a pretty ordinary life. I had a very good family, very supportive family. I had Christian parents who taught us all the value of education. They made sure that my sisters and my brother were all educated. Every last one of my siblings are college graduates, including most of our children are college graduates too, because we knew that education was power. I had struggles in my life, very traumatic, turbulent marriage that oftentimes happens in teenage marriages. But every time I'd rise above my situation because I had good examples. I became a manager with FedEx. I was a manager first of all in computer operations. Then I was a manager in customer support. I rose rapidly through the ranks because I had a foundation of hard work. If I didn't arrive at work 15 minutes early, I was late. I had a reputation for being a very hard worker, for being a very compassionate manager who cared about the needs of their employees. I wanted them to rise also. Many of them will give you testimony of how I took upon their desires to succeed in the company personally. And I would take time out of my day, out of my weekend to go in on Saturdays to help prep them for management. When I had an opening in my work group, it didn't stay open very long because everyone wanted to be in Miss Alice's work group. My marriage ended. I found myself a divorced mother with 5 children to care for alone, with zero help from my ex-husband. He went away to live his life. I got involved with someone who was a gambler. All of a sudden, all of those years that I had missed having fun, I'm about to have some fun. I got involved in gambling myself. I didn't know that it was set up so that you'd never be the winner. You think you're gonna win, you chase after the jackpot when you're giving them a jackpot. I ended up losing my job because of my addiction. I found myself in a dire, desperate situation. What in the world am I going to do? I've got 2 children in college. I've got 2 more. I've got 3 more at home. My house was being foreclosed on. I had to file bankruptcy. I'm trying everywhere. Where is Daddy? Where is the children's daddy? Who can help me? And I was ashamed because I came from a family of achievers. And they really and truly are not a family that would have rejected my plea for help. But being the independent woman I wanted to do it myself. I didn't know what to do. My life was spiraling out of control. An offer came to me to become involved in a drug conspiracy. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I look back on that now and I think, what in the world was I thinking? Was I out of my head? I didn't know anything about any drugs, but my role was to be very simple. I am going to be what is called a telephone mule. When the call comes through, all you got to do, Alice, is connect the dots. Call this person and give them this number. You don't need to know who you're talking to. Call them, give them this number, and that is who they are to call. Simple. Simple. The first time I got $1,000, I was so happy. I could pay my utility bill and put food on the table for my children, and I could act normal, even though my car had already got repossessed. It was a facade. I continued that. During this time, I had a tragedy happen to me also. My youngest son, who was my baby, Coco, got killed in a tragic scooter accident. He was only 12, his brother was 14. How in the world am I going to make funeral arrangements? Sucking in, I'm getting sucked in, deeper in, further down, deeper in. I think I was a little bit out of my head during that time. I don't even remember a lot of things that happened to me during that time period. I was a woman in a mental crisis, really. Yes. I continued doing the things I was doing until the house of cards came crumbling down. I found myself one of 16 persons who were caught up in a drug conspiracy. They'd already come to me and told me before the indictment came down that if I did not cooperate, that they were going to go get my daughter and arrest her too. What? My daughter, she's in college. She wants to be an attorney. She's a criminal justice major. What does my daughter have to do with this? I didn't believe it because I knew my daughter was not involved. But they came for me. They came for my daughter. Mother, daughter, in jail, 6 days together until bond could be made. I had to finally confess my sins to my daughter and tell her what I had been doing. Me, who was supposed to be the comforter, was being comforted by my daughter, telling me, don't worry. When we read the indictment, they made a very bad error. They said that my daughter did something when it was impossible for her to have done this. She was away at Tennessee State. And so she said, Mama, don't give in to her. You better not. You better not give in to her. You better fight. They offered me 3 to 5 years. Under the advice of an attorney, I decided to take it to trial because he said, where's the beef? You don't have any money, you don't have any drugs, you've never been in trouble in your life. At that time, I was almost 40. By the time the trial started, I was 41. I had made a decision to do whatever they needed me to do. Every time I look at my daughter, I think, what if something goes wrong and my daughter ends up going to prison? I kid you not. On the very day that I was about to pick that phone up and say to the government, to the prosecutors, to everyone, I give. Tell me what you want me to say. Tell me what you want me to do. I can't wear a wire because I don't know who to wear a wire around. But whatever you want me to say, that's what I will do. That very day, my daughter's attorney called her and told her, they just cut you loose. I had made a vow to God that if only you will let my daughter go, whatever you have for me, that is what I am going to do. My face was set like flint that day. I'm going to meet my accusers. I'm going to trial and I am going to fight. After a 6-week trial, I was found guilty of drug conspiracy, labeled a queen pan, with supposedly a movement of 2,000 to 3,000 kilograms of ghost dope that didn't even exist, phantom drugs. They didn't even have drugs to bring into the courtroom to show the jury the drugs they confiscated from me. You see, my charges were attempted possession. That's how they get you. Conspiracy, attempted possession, because we don't have the drugs you possess, Miss Alice. We don't have the money that you hid. They couldn't take any money, they didn't take any cars, they didn't take any houses, because I'm still in crisis. When I went to be sentenced, I had no idea, because they had the guy to give me my PSI, my pre-sentence report. I had no idea that a life sentence was even on the table. Wow. I received the same sentence as the Unabomber. Charles Manson got a better sentence than me, because you see, he could get parole one day. I was given a life plus 25-year sentence without the possibility of parole, because there is no parole in the federal system. That is the place that I was told by my judge that I would take my last dying breath. When I went to prison, I heard from the family here that they were locked up too, that they were impacted. You see, when one person goes to prison, their entire family goes with them, because it's no longer whole. When there is any little piece of a whole that is missing, it's called broken. So families are broken when one family member goes to prison. You see, I was not playing on a fair, level playing field either. The men in my case already knew to take a plea. They had already had long criminal records. Most of them did not even a decade. Some were set free who had long criminal records because they got on the witness stand and said, I'm their boss and I never sold or used drugs in my life, but I'm their boss. But I refused to lay it down like that and just suck my thumb and cry, woe is me, and be enveloped by self-pity. I decided to use a gift that I've been given, and that was writing. I picked up my pen, I started writing. I started writing plays and getting women involved in plays. I started sitting with women who were dying in hospice. I started working with women who had mental and physical challenges. I started making a difference where I was, because I'm not going to allow. I decided that the only way that anyone can take my life is if I give it to them. You've given them me this sentence, but you won't have my life. As others looked forward to a date, they had a number. I had alphabets, L-I-F-E. But in a way, I took that, and in my mind, I started saying, what a blessing. I don't know when I'm going home, but I just know I'm going. I don't have a month, day, a year to look forward to, but God knows my time. My time's in His hand. And I refuse to focus on that life sentence. I found that I could make a difference, even in prison. That there is something that I can do, and that is I can impact my environment for good. What took place with my release is nothing short of miraculous. When we talk about women being included in the dialogue about criminal justice reform, prison reform, is very real. I want to tell you just how real it is. I told you that I was denied clemency. I was denied 3 times, as a matter of fact. When that entire clemency project, 2014, by the time it was finished, I take my hat off to our former president. He granted clemency or sentence commutations to 1,715 individuals. But guess how many of those were women? 105. Okay. Have we been left out of the dialogue?
Yes.
Do we want a seat at the table?
Yes.
We demand a seat at the table. No longer are we asking nicely, can we sit at the table? We are collectively bringing our voices together, bringing our women power, our girl power together to say that this is not okay. Leaving us out of the dialogue is not okay. Women are now being incarcerated at an 800% rate from just a decade ago. The prisons are starting to be filled with mothers, daughters, sisters, grandmamas. They're being filled with us. And if we don't use our voices and do something about what's happening to us, it's not going to stop. Women are physically different from men. I'm not a man basher or a man hater. I love them. I had a father. I had 3 sons. I love men. I love them. And we need the voices of the men too, because it's impacting you too. Because when a mother is taken out of the home, it produces many times angry children, hurt children, children who don't trust police, children who are very much prone to step into the very footsteps of a parent that left them behind. You see, I know that from experience too, because the young son of mine, the only one, he went to prison too. After I was in there, I become my son's pen pal. because the street is now raising him when he should have had his mama. I'm not saying that there should not be penalties for breaking the law. People are too quick to say you do the crime, you do the time. But I say that that time should be fair and just based on the crime. When a woman is incarcerated, she is very much at a disadvantage. Most of the violence against prisoners is against women. Women! How many women are sitting in jails right now pregnant? They didn't come in prison or in jail pregnant. One of my sisters said, have you ever heard of a pregnant man in prison? No. It's impacting us more than it is impacting anyone else. I believe in the dignity of a woman who is incarcerated. There are certain things that are so necessary for us that are not necessary for a man while he is fulfilling what has been deemed his sentence. So many women go in broken. Most of the women that I met in prison were like me. They committed their crimes, not because they wanted to ride around balling with the fastest car, the biggest house, but because they were in a crisis of needing to take care of their families. Too many women become the fall guy or the fall woman for what is taking place. Because many of the men know the system, or they know someone who has been in the system, and they know the first one to take a plea is the one who gets the better deal. And if you go to trial, you are going to get spanked. You are going to get the worst penalty possible, especially for daring to think that you can take on what I took on that paper that said the United States of America versus Alice Marie Johnson. What? I'm just one person. Oh, the United States is coming against me? All of this happened, I truly believe, because God does not waste nothing. He didn't waste my time in prison. He didn't waste my pain. He didn't waste my suffering. That 21 years, 7 months and 6 days, I could never get back. But what I can do is I can help somebody else by using my voice, by using my platform. I can help someone else's voice be heard. And I'm here, and I will continue to lift my voice, to magnify the need, to put a face on this need. A grandmama's face, a mother's face, a great-grandmama's face on the need for meaningful criminal justice reform. I congratulate you, Florida, for what you are doing to make sure that voices are heard and that change, that meaningful change take place. Continue on, warrior women, and support them, warrior men. Thank you for having me today.
Miss Alice, back up there. Come on back. Come on back. Did y'all see this book out there? Did y'all see this book out there? Yeah?
Yes, what's the name of it?
Listen. The name of this book is called Afterlife. No matter how much. I mean, you either got it or you don't. You got it or you spill.
Hey, Tyra, we getting tired. Getting tired, because we getting tired.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do all of that. But I'm not gonna do all of that. I just want you, if you have the means. Remember I told y'all to do some research, get you some information. Some information in here that you're gonna be able to use. Even if it's just emotionally charged. Get emotionally charged. Get enraged. Get outraged. Understand what's going on. so that you can help. Okay? The name of the book is Afterlife. Yeah. Matter of fact, all right? Miss Alice, we appreciate you so much. No, like so much. Because you don't have to take the torch and do all of the stuff that you're doing right now. We appreciate you. Miss Glow won't be out here doing that soon.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, because there's mothers like her that were in there mothering us when our mothers wasn't up. Like Miss Glow, we called y'all mama enough. You know what I'm saying? We just want to let you know that we appreciate you. We appreciate you. You don't gotta do this. It's a, my daddy's sitting at home right now. He don't care nothing about nobody that's in there. I ain't lying. I'm telling you the truth. And if she cares, it's motherly. You know, that's that womb man stuff.
Yes.
Okay? Y'all go get the book, man. Don't be like that. Go get the book and get your information. Thank you so much. There's also, I just want to go ahead and throw this out there because I'm this kind of a host. Y'all see the shirt, right? It's the one I got on. These are also out there on the table. If you care about it for real and you have the means, I'm not telling you to break the bank or use your rent money or your light money or your cricket phone bill money or whatever. I'm just saying, if you have the means, do it. Just do it because it's going to a good cause. We're taking care of business, right? I'm now going to call up Trey. Trey is going to be the panelist. The next panelist that we have coming up, panel moderator, is what I'm trying to say. All right, in this panel, we're going to be talking about mass incarceration. Is there a volunteer? I want to do something real quick, real quick. Somebody volunteer. Come. You know you got to bring your phone. You got to quit.
Okay, Kevin, I'm ready.
Pull up the calculator right quick. How many people in here been in prison? We finna do this real quick. You don't do nothing to me, okay? I need this. How long you been in prison? How many years? What's 2.5 in your calculator? Let me get yours. Get her here. Let me get yours. Add 9 to that. Who else? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. How many you got? 2 years. Who else? How many you got? 11.5. How many you got? 19. Your mama, how many she got? That was my bunkie. Oh. Before your mama was my bunkie, she was my bunkie. Where we left off at? 30? 30. We just found that out. Crying over there, rocking and crying. How many you got? 13.5. Add that right quick. How many you got? 18.5. Add that right quick. 3. Add 3 to it. What you got? 24.5. Add that. 2. Add that. These are women. Give me more. 6. 16. Who else? I got 2 more. How many you got? 11. These are women with a womb. Who else you got? I can't.
Round 9 off to 22.
Let me get 22. Lord. Come on. Give me some more. How many you got? 2. Any more? 10. How many you got? 3. Who else? That's it? That's everybody? Add mine. What you got? 24. Y'all look good. The Lord was preserving us for now. I know I don't look 36, but yeah, that's good God. You add my 9? I got 9 in about 6 months. That's 235 years. The new kind of slavery they got going on. Okay? Come on, Trey. I appreciate y'all. Alright. So I need y'all to know Trey did all, she organized all of this.
Yay, Trey!
days after her graduation from Southern Illinois University with a Bachelor of Arts. She was sentenced to 13 years in federal prison for less than $500 worth of drugs. Alright. While incarcerated, she became a skilled jailhouse lawyer. You ever been in there, you know, that was us when y'all seen us with the books and the folders and stuff, and y'all come and bother us at night when we chilling, ask me about your case. That was us. That was Trey. Okay? As a jailhouse lawyer, since being released, a prominent and fearless social justice activist and sought-after public speaker at venues such as the Women's Marches in Hawaii and Boston, Vanderbilt University, Simmons College, City University of New York University, and Vanderbilt. Trey is also co-founder and executive director of FedFam for Life, where current initiatives include My Sister's Keeper, that's a hashtag, and WNAG, Women's National Advocacy Group, a Lillian Project Accelerator recipient of the Harlem Business Alliance, Tennessee's Dignity for Incarcerated Women co-ambassador, and currently South Florida criminal justice organizer for the New Florida Majority, where she is spearheading Reform Her symposiums across the state. Y'all, give her another round of applause.
Okay. Well, thank y'all. I'm not gonna do no long speech or nothing like that. I'm just gonna say we're gonna have our next panel will be impacted women, and we will first of all welcome Miss Alice back to the stage. Our next sister, Miss Cheryl Howard. She's from Sarasota, Florida. She was serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole since 1994, and she was one of the sisters that got clemency by President Obama. She was one of the lot of them sisters. Welcome, Miss Cheryl, and I served time with Miss Cheryl. We've been one of them really, in one of the states, somewhere. And also we have Miss Cynthia Thompson from our North Florida Dignity Steering Committee. She was born and raised in Florida, in the Keys. She relocated to Jacksonville after attending FSU. She established herself as a popular hairstylist in diverse and artistic neighborhood of Riverside. A brutal sexual assault and an act of self-defense introduced her to the criminal justice system, the injustices system of Duval and Florida. After her incarceration, she lost all her personal licenses. She has recently reinstated her professional license. Welcome, Miss All right. Well, I want to start off. You know, I'm just going to say thank you. I'm going to say thank y'all for being here. Everyone, thank y'all for being here. And since we've already heard from Miss Alice, we'll let the other two sisters start first. We might be a little tired. So Miss Cheryl. Let's talk a little bit about the Clemency Project. Just a little bit. So when the 2014 White House Clemency Project came out, what was your hopes and dreams when you received your clemency?
Well, of course, my hopes and my dreams was to receive clemency and be released. However, I was denied 4 times. My sentence when I received it, it said deceased upon release. That's what my sentence literally said. And I had a very difficult struggle throughout my incarceration because I allowed my location to dictate what I did, where I was, and my mindset. So when it came to me getting all those denials from the clemency project, I had actually, when President Obama, the former president, had entered into office, I had sold a seed of $100. I paid a tithe. And each time that I got denied, I would reflect on that tithe and say, now I done paid this tithe and believe that God is going to release me, but it seems as if that's not going to happen. So I didn't lose faith in what I wanted, but I lost faith in who was in office at the time. But I continued just out of boredom to file clemencies. And in 2015, I fell dead from a brain aneurysm. And I actually died for 3.5 minutes. I was placed in an induced coma. And when I woke up to another denial. So after that, I filed another one, but they told me I couldn't because I had to wait a year. But I said, he'll be gone in a year, so I ain't got nothing else to lose. And 4.5 months later, I was given an attorney from the Obama administration. And I was told that I don't know how this happened because you shouldn't be, granted anything. You didn't wait a year. She said, but I'm gonna go ahead and fight for you. Her name was Esther Blumstein. And she continued to go from project to project with my paperwork, and my mother eventually contacted Cory Booker. And President Obama had gave him, 10 names. He said, you can give me 10 names, and I would honor that. And eventually, Senator Cory Booker took my paperwork over to him, and I was granted clemency. But I want to say this, it's not about who gives you clemency, it's not about who's in office. It's literally about who is in you. And I think that's where change starts. It doesn't start with your location. It starts with what's on the inside of you. And I think now it needs to start with the written law, because that's what holds us in. It's what's written, and I believe that's what should be forbidden, is these unjust languages that incarcerate us and keeps us in a place that reject us from what we truly, truly, truly deserve. Because at some point you do get delivered from who you used to be.
So, as Ms. Gloria Taylor's daughter said, we always talk about, the big picture, federal prison system and all that. So we want you to bring it on home where Florida is and talk a little bit about, what led you into the criminal justice system and how the Florida system, how you went through that system.
Well, my experience was on my 36th birthday, I went out with 3 of my friends to go out to dinner. And my girlfriend who was driving was pregnant. She wanted to go home after dinner, and I thought it would be nice to go across the street to our local watering hole in Avondale, where I had gone for the past, decade, when my ex-husband used to play music up there. And I walked in and I saw a former client of mine who I cut the wife's hair for 10 years, cut her husband's hair a few times. He had been kicked out of my salon during an art opening one night for being inappropriate. But I was in a good mood and it was my birthday. And she said, "Happy birthday, Cindy. This is from my husband." And she gave me a drink. And I was abducted. And I was held for 12 hours, and I was brutally raped and beaten. And I came home to file reports within 72 hours, but the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office isn't really terribly interested in crimes against women. I'll just put it there. I was told I could go to my own doctor. I paid for stuff out of my own pocket. I stayed home for 3 weeks. Getting better. I was a hairstylist, so I didn't really want to go to work bruised up and looking scary. The first day I went back to work, they came into my shop to intimidate me from pressing turkeys. And my mom was there present. And at the time, she was in her early 70s. And we didn't have a back door, and there were 2 of them. And want to meet. And I called 911, and a good 35 minutes later, they still weren't there. And I did have the opportunity to, when the phone rang, and I could step from the man, I answered the phone and I put my gun from my cash register in my pocket. I owned that salon. I rented, that lease was in my name, and I thought that I had every right in the world to protect myself and my mother from two people that had already abused me, and I knew the extent to which they were dangerous. Florida at the time didn't have a standard gun law, and they had something called the duty to flee. So y'all probably know who Angela Corey is. Angela Corey was at the time an assistant DA, wanted to come up in her politics, and she found that it would be great to press charges against me instead of the people who had abducted and raped and beaten me, because I smacked the guy over the head with a handgun because I didn't want his hand under my skirt. I thought I was going to sex crimes to be interviewed. They took me to sex crimes, but in fact, they had different plans for me. I wasn't there to be helped. I wasn't told I was under arrest. I thought they were helping me. I had no experience with the criminal justice system. No one in my family had. So I would say right now, today, I speak for women who are survivors of sexual abuse and physical abuse, who do not get protected by the state of Florida, and who have to stand up for themselves and make that choice. That's how I was introduced. It was a rude awakening.
I know you've seen a lot of injustices and inequities, Ms. Allison. What can we do to protect women inside?
You have to use your voices. You have to use the power that is being given to you, and that is the power to vote. You got to hold your elected officials, speak to the fire, and make what concerns you concern them. You got to get out and not just say, oh, that is so bad. I'm so sorry for them. You got to take action. A movement starts because someone moved. So be a part of the movement.
What can we do more on the outside? Because the question is from the Dignity Coalition of Florida is very much interested in changing the conditions of confinement for women incarcerated in the state of Florida. You know, we're spearheading the movement to protect our women and our girls that are incarcerated. So what do you think is one of the main things that we need to go after as we protecting the women inside?
One of the main things that I think is needed is consistency when it comes to approaching the people who are in government, because at the end of the day, they may sit on their legislative boards and go with the majority of, continuing to impart a huge injustice. However, when they do go home at night, they reflect with their personal denials of what they should have done. And I believe that when you speak, that you should truly speak to not just the individual, but speak to the heart of the individual. And don't stop. Because at the end of the day, I know that that voice settles in their mind. And that's why you have a lot of people, a lot of judges that have removed themselves from the benches after they have been a part of the criminal justice that took place many years ago. Now you see them coming around saying, I did wrong. I'm no longer a judge. I regret what I did, and how can I help, to change the system? So I think that your consistency is very important whenever it comes to your movement. Don't just stop because you get a no. You keep on speaking that yes.
How about you, Cindy? What does criminal justice reform in her look like to you?
I would say to reform her, she needs a safe space.
Yes.
That's not chaotic.
Yes.
That's not punishment. Where she has, instead of punishment, understanding. Where she, instead of having chaos, has time to reflect and to take the puzzle and decide for herself, is this really a piece of me? Or is this like rhetoric that was handed down to me? Is this someone else's expectation of who she is? Or is this responsibilities that were piled on her shoulders too young? Is this what it is? This part of me, do I want to keep it and make it back into my puzzle or not? And you can't make those decisions in a place of chaos and violence. You can't. Like, to reform her, you have to totally change the way that the prison system is set up. You have to let people grow and find themselves.
Also, one thing that is very important, there must be accountability. If you know of a story of a woman, don't brush it under the rug. There has to be accountability. If you're receiving the same complaints from the same jail, from the same prison, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it must be a duck.
Come on now. All right. Thank you, Mom. True. I mean, like I said, well, as we go forward, we have some legislation the Dignity Coalition is moving. And last year, we spearheaded Dignity for Incarcerated Women. And this year, we have what we call the Tammy Jackson Law. Tammy Jackson was a young black woman that was pregnant. She was incarcerated in Broward County. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, she went into labor. At 10 o'clock in the morning, they went in there and she was standing there holding her baby. And they won't tell us, but we know she had to chew off the umbilical cord because there was nothing else in her cell but her and a concrete slab in labor. So we spearheaded Tammy Jackson to end solitary confinement. My question to the panelists, we talk about dignity and we talk about Tammy Jackson Law. How can, again, everyday people that are not connected with the criminal justice, how can they spearhead that? Everyone has that.
I think there's a way to get involved at any level, like in order to help women who are incarcerated. If you're not bold enough to write a letter to a woman who is incarcerated, because you can find all that. You can look up people and pick a random woman to write a letter to. If that's not for you, maybe doing the angel tree, looking after families that are left at home, because that's what matters to us. I mean, I would way rather that somebody bought my kid a skateboard and a pair of shoes for me than sent me something in prison. You know, so like at any level, you can be involved as much as you have the strength to. Not everybody can go visit a prison or wants to be a pen pal with an incarcerated person, but you could, ask someone at your church, is there a family with incarcerated parents that I can help out their kids? Can I buy their birthday presents? Because people think about you at Christmas time. But what about the other 364 days of the year? That's a child without their mom at home with them. So
I would say also that I think that when you have a person, you convey something to an individual, you ask them to put themselves in that situation. Whenever you have a drive to do something for yourself, you also have a drive to do something for somebody else. And when you look at what you're not doing for somebody else, then you're neglecting who you really are and what concerns you with your purpose. So I think that anybody who has an open ear to hear what we're saying, that you should first start with you and say, now what would I do if this was me? What would I do? And I believe that is the answer that will drive you to make a change.
There are so many unseen victims.
My release, everywhere we go, my two sisters are here with me now, they can witness to this. Everywhere we go, people talk about someone who they know who is in prison. It used to be a very shameful thing. People did not want to admit that they had a loved one, they even knew anyone who was in prison. It was a shame that was behind it. That whole shame and guilt, that cover is being taken off. People are being empowered now to say, I know someone, I have a family member, it has impacted my community, even if it's not your family member. When it impacts your community, it impacts you. Because really, we really are all one. We really are all one. This became my personal motto. If you can do good, do it. I think everyone has the capacity to do good. If you know of a family member, if you know of children, I call them the abandoned children. If you know of children who have been abandoned because of a prison system, speak words of kindness. You don't know how far that would go. My children, as they talked to me about the shame that they went through, they still love me. My family supported me, but everyone does not have that support. My family supported me with visits, because it's not about the money. It's good to have someone put a little change on your books. But a word, a kind word, goes a long way. Remember the unseen victims, and those are the children. If we start thinking about, as Cheryl said, if we put ourselves in the position of someone else, that but for the grace of God, there go I. At any point, this could impact you by impacting a friend, by impacting a family member. You can't just say that I don't know any people like that. You all know some people like that, because you don't know until you pressed into a situation where you're gonna end up at. This lady right here was a victim, and look at where she found herself. Change begins with each one of us. When you become aware of an injustice and you don't do anything about it, you are now part of the problem.
And I wanted to add to that, how y'all can get involved right here in Florida. We got to reform her. We got the Dignity Coalition, and all these women walking around with these beautiful black shirts on. They're either part of my steering committee or they're just amazing people. They got a free shirt. But we asked that one of our volunteers would be going around with some pledge cards. If anyone has any questions, raise your hand. And while they get ready to take your questions, somebody with a microphone side. While they take your questions, we can fill out the pledge cards. Because the Dignity Coalition, they look just like that Cheryl has right there. And we'll contact you. We'll be going back and forth to Tallahassee this year. We take bus loads, and as we get the questions for the panel, we buy the t-shirts. They're $15. The books are $25. Support poor black organizations.
We have a question here. So this young man, this is for, I guess, the two. So his question is, how do you feel about this administration right now? To Ms. Alice.
Okay. How do I feel about this administration? It was under this administration that I was set free. I'm very thankful for that. Only an ungrateful person would not say thank you for saving my life. So the way I feel about this administration is that we are the people. And we are the people are the ones who have the power. And they are our servants. They are not our masters, they are our servants. And we have the capacity to change minds and to change hearts, because those are human beings in that administration.
Good evening. I'm so grateful and humbled to be here and to hear your stories. My experience with incarceration is very limited to an uncle or two who's been incarcerated. So I'm here to, because I care about this issue. I met Trey, thank you. And I'm also a trauma-informed yoga teacher, and I work in a nonprofit space where I work actually with children who've been experienced all kinds of trauma, right? So you're touching a lot of the things that I believe in. But most importantly, I have an application pending with the Corrections Office of Miami-Dade County for myself and a couple other yoga teachers who want to go into the female prison jails, sorry if I'm using the wrong terminology, and teach yoga and mindfulness. And I would love to know, what advice would you have for us going into these populations and working with women in order to provide this service?
I can tell you this, and I'll let someone else answer too. I always got so excited to see volunteers come in. So for you to come in and give up your time and your talents, your gifting, you can best believe that whoever you give of yourself to, of your gift, they are going to be very appreciative.
And I would add that if you've never been incarcerated, when you walk into a prison with an open heart. You know, and understand that, because we can't say anymore that, you do the crime every time, because every single day we see somebody get released from 25, 30 years for something they didn't do. So you're potentially walking in a place where half of those people are actually innocent. So when you walk in and you look in, you provide the services and understand you are giving them so much more than yoga. Because like she said, when we see anybody that's not a guard, you like, hey girl, so just go in with the heart that you're giving way more than yoga with just your time.
That was good. We got another question. Okay, so the question is, what is the rehabilitation process like coming out? Like, how do you get back acclimated with just being a part of society, like merging back into society? How do you do it the way that is best fitting for society, yourself, your family, all that stuff?
I would say to be transparent about what you don't know. You don't have to come out acting like you're a part of something that you've missed for decades. If you don't know how to use a GPS, ask somebody. Don't be embarrassed. And I'm gonna share this because when I was at the halfway house and they gave me a phone, I didn't even know how to turn it on, let alone use it. So when I began to ask questions, the guards would look at me like, you don't know? Just step to the side. We'll deal with her in a minute. Just go next. So I think it's imperative that you be honest about what you don't know, and that way you can grow into what you need to know. I didn't know how to catch a bus. Never caught a bus a day in my life. But that was mandated for me to do to get to one destination to the next. So I think whenever you ask questions, and ask the people who, if you're in a halfway house or whatever house you're in, ask them to implement some things that would guide you and navigate you into those areas so that you'll know and you'll be able to grow knowledgeably. That's what
I think it's really hard to transition. I mean, I stood one time in the aisle of Publix when I first came home, staring at the Raisin Bran because I couldn't remember which brand I liked. And all the pictures on the boxes had changed, and I started almost wanting to cry in Publix, and I just grabbed my cereal and my yogurt and went home because it's really overwhelming. Like, to see everything change in that amount of time that you were gone, and then the rejection. I mean, that to me was the hardest thing. Going to, well, for one, we have to apply for jobs on the internet now. So once you check the box, that system's already thrown your application away. So you could write 100 applications before one place says that, you know, they wanna talk to you or have a telephone interview even, and then you gotta keep working. It's a lot of rejection. So like if you have family members coming home, I would say be so patient with them because you feel stupid, you know, when you get a job and they say everybody's got a smartphone, right? And you're like, no, I got my Medicaid qualified, you know what I mean, push button phone. Never had a smartphone, and then having to learn to use it at work and ask your coworkers who are half your age, you know, hey man, how do you do this? How do I even download an app or something that seems normal to other people? It makes you isolate yourself. That's what I mean. Like being rejected time and time again makes you lose that confidence when you came home and you're like, I'm Wonder Woman and I'm gonna change things. So be patient and be open-minded with people coming home.
I can tell you that coming home for me was traumatic. When I went to prison, there was no internet. So all of a sudden, I'm coming out to a whole different world. It was like stepping onto a very different planet. I had trauma that I didn't even realize I had trauma. I see a closed door, and I stand outside the door and wouldn't turn it on because I expected it to be locked. I've been in prison for 21 years, and a closed door, they're locked. And so they say, open the door, it's not locked. Or I leave the water running because I'm used to pushing a button, and the water is only on for a few seconds. And it's a shame of not knowing just the simplest things. It was more than just the technology. It was my mindset had to change because I truly have been used to someone telling me every single thing to do, when to go to bed, when to get up, when to eat. And so now I'm taking control of my life again because I'm a free woman, but I have not dealt with the trauma of being gone that long. And I think that it really needs to be looked at, that when a person is released from prison, who's been in prison a long time, their mental health needs need to be addressed so that they may reintegrate back into society. And I don't know how it is on the state level, but on the federal level, when I came out, I had no insurance. It was hard to get identification. I came out and I got sick from eating regular food and had to go to the hospital. I was left with a $2,000 hospital that I had to pay. No insurance, no money. This is the world that I'm coming out to. And people don't understand that they want you to come back and be the same Alice Marie who went to prison, but I'm different. And so just getting back acclimated into this new world and back to my family, even though we were never disconnected, so I didn't have to reconnect with them. But everything is strange and it's very new to me. So I really think that there should be even some type of counseling for people that are coming home from prison who have been gone for a long time, because it's not the same. I'm not the same person who went in almost 22 years ago. So, I just hope that some of those things, and I have to say just one more thing, the right to vote. We've been given a second chance, but how can you really feel that you're a part of a nation, yet you don't have a voice? You don't have a ballot. So I believe that once your time has been completed, that your everything should be restored, including the right to vote.
I want to wrap up, thank my panel. Right quick, we got something that was going to be special, so I want to thank y'all so much. Also I want to say, when you have people coming out of prison, show compassion. Just show compassion and patience. I did 9 years in prison, and when my wife came home after 11 years, and we went to a grocery store, like, come on, like she said, it made me, I said, come on, get your cereal, come on, and she was just standing there crying, so now I'm allowed to go to the grocery store with my wife. Because I forgot, and I had to be patient and compassionate to her trauma also. So just be patient with our sisters and our brothers too, because they suffer trauma too. So thank you, ladies, so much. I would like to get come on now.
Yeah, y'all clap for yourselves, man, for showing up. Stand up. Clap for yourselves for showing up. We appreciate you there more, too.
Right quick, I want to introduce my boss. The boss of Florida, no, I'm just playing, the Dignity Coalition. You know, like I said, last year we organized women from all across the state of Florida, formerly incarcerated women. And we took them to Tallahassee on buses and Ubers and everything. And we went into our legislative offices with amazing people like Chado back there. And we had the amazing Senator Jason Pizzo that's back there spearheading our legislation. You know, so I wanted to bring Valencia up to the stage. Because they said I was talking too much.
Hey y'all, what's up? So before I start, I want to press play on this video so y'all can see how we got Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act actually passed into legislation. Woo. Can we press play?
Yes.
And when you run out, you're out. You may have no money to go to the commissary, and if you do, you may have to weigh that purchase against other necessities, like making phone calls to your children or attorney. You are forced to make the impossible decision of constructing your own menstrual products, using anything from clothing or notebook paper in place of a tampon. Without adequate access to clean, hygienic menstrual products, you may face serious health consequences. This happens every single month, and for some it will be regular cycles more frequently. Menstrual products are not luxury items, they be enemies. And to members, I just want to let you know that from the amount of our testimony that I've got received from women who come to visit my office and they share their experiences, this is something that I believe that we as a legislative body, that we should do to protect the dignity of women.
Situations with us and visited legislators, and we have gotten over 30 legislators to actually co-sponsor this legislation. We went through 3 committees: the Criminal Justice Committee on the Senate side, the Criminal Justice Appropriations Committee on the Senate side, and today the Criminal Justice Committee on the House side. And we have passed every committee with the unanimous vote.
Is the power of stories, and the stories have pushed us through. So we have seen representatives and senators either change their mind or decide to take action after meeting with some of the people in this room. After hearing their stories of incarceration and the conditions that they had to live through, they didn't have free and open access to having tampon. We have seen representatives and senators get absolutely outraged and be like, I need to do something about this.
Hear the stories of women. I'm not going to use what I know. I don't speak very candidly. Speak very candidly. These women came to my office. They shared their stories. It was one that, as a human being, that you would have cringed behind your desk to hear what women are doing in our prison system in order for them to do something that their body does on a weekly basis.
And so I had an opportunity to go into the White House and speak in front of President Trump, Vice President Pence at the time, Sessions, and on stage with Jared Kushner. And I talked about my experience as an incarcerated woman and what I had to go through with uterine fibroids. And what I said in that room, which liberated me, to them was that, you know, for a woman who had resources, I had support, who had to actually quantify my cycle, which meant put used pads in a brown paper And when I had to do that, in the inhumane and disgusting treatment that I felt, I couldn't imagine what women felt and went through who didn't have resources, who didn't have opportunity. And so I realized when I came home that I had to begin to move around this country and help women, making sure not only they have what they need when they get out, because our goal is to end incarceration of women and girls. Yes. But while we wait, to come home, we have to make sure that we are treating women with humane treatment. That just because you're in prison, you do not deserve to be treated less than a person.
They told us we weren't gonna do it in 1 year, y'all. It was a lie. Period. Every legislator, when that board lit up, it was all green. We didn't have any opposition, not a Republican, not a Democrat, not an independent, went against us. Ms. Alice said it doesn't matter the administration, we are the people. I don't care what color you wear, what side of the aisle you sit on, I'm a taxpaying citizen, and you're gonna listen to me. And you're gonna create legislation that's gonna protect and serve me also, right? So that's what we did, y'all. So, again, I'm Valencia Gunny. Come on, I need those blue things too. And I'm the Criminal Justice Program Manager at the New Florida Majority. And activist, big mouth, whatever y'all want to call me. I be all that, but we get people home though. That's what we gonna do. Free as well. So, we went out back and forth to Tallahassee this past year. We all were learning and trying to figure out how we were going to do this. And we went up there brave. A lot of people were afraid. Some of the sisters, this was their first time sharing their stories. And it was amazing to see legislators, one, get emotional, especially the males, because they thought this was already law. They couldn't believe that women were being mistreated as such. And not only did we get the legislation passed, but we activated our legislators, so now they're visiting facilities every week. Every week. So, I have a few awards that I want to give. Y'all gonna be patient with me. It ain't gonna take long. I'm gonna do it quick. One to our fearless legislators, our leaders, who heard our stories, and without hesitation, I lobbied him on his couch, y'all. He said in the back. And he said, yeah, I'm gonna do it. He was a freshman legislator at the time. And this was gonna be one of his first pieces of legislation that he filed. And he said, yeah, I'll do it. And I called Rep. Jones. And he said, yeah, and then he called me back like another representative called, and they wanted to be a part of it too. So, I wanna give my senator, Jason Pizzo, y'all welcome him to the stage. Also, Representative Sharon Jones is not here, but y'all love on him when y'all see him, because he believes women, and he supports us. And also, Representative Amy Mercado is in Orlando, and she'll be getting her award when I go up there on Thursday. So we're gonna travel this thing up the stage, y'all hear me? And what we also got for all of our hard workers, we actually have signed legislation from our governor of the Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act. So thank you all so much. Come on, Senator, come on up here. This is my guy, okay? represent formerly incarcerated women and girls. And thank you for every time we call you about something. He runs down to the facility. We called him and told him it was a scabies outbreak at a federal facility in Miami, and he was there the next morning. We tell him something going down the gas account. He jumps in the car to get a gas account. He's in Lord. He's everywhere. So thank you. Yeah, you can definitely thank Maggie.
So, 12 and a half hours ago, Maggie and I were on the way to South Bay Correctional Facility. So we were at a prison this morning, about 2 hours away. And none of this gets printed, gets done, gets filed without the woman in my life, in my office, Maggie Gerson.
Actually no longer with the rep, but this was her first piece of legislation she ever drafted and put into the drafting office. And I want to invite Ms. Jessica, come on, up to the stage. She came to every community meeting, every outreach meeting, every time we had a room full of formerly incarcerated women and girls, she was there. And since this was your first piece of legislation, we thought you should have a copy of it. So, approximately a week after it was signed into law, a mother got a call from her daughter inside and said, "Mom, I just got a brand new box of tampons." And her mama said, "You want to know why?" And she said her daughter started crying. So let me tell y'all may think giving a woman a pad or a tampon or some lotion may mean nothing to them, but it means everything to them because that's what they need. We didn't ask for any luxuries or any privileges. We asked for basic needs for women. And we got it. So all of our sisters, I'm gonna read the list down and we're gonna have to sort through that a little later.
Yeah, if you hear your name.
Okay, so I'm gonna list down every sister who took a trip with us. And if you're in the room, I want you to come up to the stage, okay? All right, so Marissa Alexander, Francesca Menez, Monet Holder, Jason Pino, Amy Mercado, Sheridan Jones, Sherelle Williams, Rosemary McCoy, Henrietta Ellison, Quantisha Yarborough, Michelle Davis, Marilyn Walker, Tangeria Burks, Renita Holmes, Trinity Bryant, Stephanie Abernathy, Jacqueline Cooney, Monica James, Tommy Sheff, Anita Gyro, Ms. Gail Williams, Sherry Oliver, Cindy Thompson, Anita Spencer, Joanna Furman, Lisa Banks, Trish Brown, Lutricia Tolbert, Princess Roberts, Asanta Roberts, Jasmine Rogers Shaw, Shadow Valero, one sister, I forgot to put her name on this list, but we're not going to let this night go on without her coming up and saying, we're going to invite Miss Kelly Tiger Tail. These sisters, where's Foxy? Foxy! Mason! Foxy! So, this is the Dignity Florida Steering Committee. We don't move any legislation. We don't talk to any legislators without going through these sisters here. Okay, they have the experience, they have the heart, they move fearlessly, we take over the Capitol. We don't ask for forgiveness or permission to help and support our sisters. months of work with no pay. And I appreciate her for that, for real. And then Nubian came in North Florida, and she took off. And she told me, I live in Duval County, but I'm gonna also do work in Leon County. So she drive back and forth, talking to sisters all the time. Gaston County, all them little small y'all know them little small little cities in between. She be all up in there. And I appreciate her for that. Trey is from Chicago. Only been living, Chi-Town in the house. Only been living in Florida under a year. And this sister came down here and she wanted to assist. Because she told me, she said, my story is not just mine. Every sister who has faced incarceration, that's their story too. So when she funded our mission, she came down here and she made her way. And I'm telling you, some days she be calling me like, I just had a meeting downtown, you know, such and such. And I'm like, it took me 20 years to be that person. And you met them in 2 weeks. But she makes it happen over and over again. I mean, connecting organizations, following up, and everything. These two sisters are amazing. So not only were they the driving force to make sure Dignity passed in Tallahassee and to move all of our sisters back and forth to Tallahassee each time. In their region, they have monthly meetings. If we need to do court support, we're there. If we need to send emails, if we need to write petitions, Trey was one of the best jailhouse lawyers in the federal prison system while she was in there, and she used those same skills to help sisters every single day. Y'all would be lying if I told y'all their age, but I ain't gonna do that. I wanna give them something that I thought that was super necessary. So, they are receiving the 2018-2019 Dignity Florida Badass Award. And they get a copy of the legislation too. So, while y'all here, one, we need y'all to buy those books. Okay? Only $25. We are worth it. The shirts are going for $15. They're outside. Take card. Okay? Cash out. How we need to send a coin, we take it. Nah. Unless you got a little cash over there. And then, also continue to support Miss Alice. Even after this moment. If y'all in the city where she is and she's speaking, you make sure you support that event. You support all those sisters you see on stage. Y'all will support us when we launch this campaign to free Miss Glow. And I want to love on two people. One, Cha-Cha, stand up. So Cha-Cha was supposed to be in our first panel. She was a little late. But you know why it's okay? Because our sister been home less than 100 days. And we're going to love on her. And not only is we going to love on her, we going to pay all this sister's fines and fees so she can get home. She is going to be Dignity Florida's first. So we're going to get it all rolling, Cha-Cha. We got you, baby. 100 days, she ain't been home, but we got her now. Right? And our amazing host, Lyric Ty, come on up to the stage. Come on. This sister believes in our mission so much that the last few weeks, she's been attached to the hip. Not just because she was hosting this event, because once she found out what we were doing, She wanted to be a part of it. She wanted to uplift and assist as much as possible. And what's so amazing about it, regardless of how much stuff she has on her plate, she still finds love for everybody else. I want to say thank you so much, Ty, for being here tonight and hosting tonight. I really, really do appreciate it. Okay, so I'm gonna pass it back to Trey. Y'all make sure y'all love on these sisters. Every sister you've seen on this stage, I love on them too. And I'm gonna pass it to Trey, our amazing organizer for this event. Let's shout out to Linda. Everybody was an amazing organization that made this happen.
Can we get a quick round, a real round for Valencia, real quick? Real quick.
All right, I would encourage anyone, please purchase a book. Follow us, hashtag reform her with all your pictures. It's one word. It's a donation. Donate to get the books. We're not selling books again. We take donations of $25. All right, somebody grab me some books, please.
Can I please have your attention real quick? If you are wearing a Reform Her shirt, will you please report to the stage for a group picture? If you have on a Reform Her shirt, please come to the stage for a quick group picture. Thank you so much. Please come to the stage if you have on a Reform Her shirt. Even if you bought one and you want to throw it on, come on up here. We're going to get a group picture. Could I get a photographer to the front? Oh, you're here. All right, guys, come on.
Thank you, bro. Audio, video,
One more interruption. This is DJ. One more interruption. Somebody just gave me a phone, so please check and see if you have your cell phone. If you don't have your cell phone, I've got one. It might be yours. Come see me. Come see me if you don't have your cell phone. Hit it, DJ.